can't remember if I have done a segment on this, but it was on my mind, so I wanted to do a segment on it. We look at entertainment, and we see a lot of people aren't happy, and rightfully so, about, let's say there's things that are different, okay? You had something that existed, you got into it, that thing is no longer like it was. It's not anything close, and it's not gotten better. It's not changed for the better. It's gotten worse. The people that maybe own, maybe it's an IP of some sort of brand, couldn't be anything further connected from the creators. So you're getting a lot of bastardized versions of this, of whatever that is. Now, the thing that for me was something, I guess, to make note of and really pay attention to. Now, I know I did a segment on this, and that was the standards. The standards have been put in the toilet, okay, and flushed, and now they down there at some fucking shit pipe. I don't know, but they're down there, okay? And what I mean by that is that now we're at this point where you've gone a period of time where the material had been so, if not bad, at minimum subpar, okay? So now when you get something, let's say, that is better than that, even though it may be still in the negative, it's seen as a positive because, well, it's at least better than what you've gotten as of recent. And that may be something that we look at and have to recover from. It's like in this day and age, for example, someone will give a movie a high review because it's not woke. And I'm like, I get that, and I can see where that could be refreshing. But when did that become the standard? That doesn't mean something is good or positive in its nature in the event that it's not woke. Now, to be fair, that has never been my measure. People that don't listen to me would like to believe that. They would say, yeah, that's all that he... No, if you actually listen to my Captain Marvel review, if you listen to my Supergirl review, which was what blew this channel up, with the comic book stuff, if you listen to my other reviews, long form reviews, I may mention something that may be of that ilk, but I've also took gripes with various other things that had nothing to do with it. So that's never been my primary measure at all. But you look at that's the standards are in the tank. Let's just say that they're not very well. But I want to remind you of something. You have to remember, you are a customer, okay? At the end of the day, we talk entertainment. We're not talking about my spring water or anything. Hydrate real quick. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about your food. We're not talking about your communications. We're not talking about that. Things that you may depend on. We're not discussing that. We're talking about strictly entertainment. So stuff that you usually spend your disposable income and time on, okay? So you look at that, well, let me say this. You should, I believe, look at yourself as a customer, but also have some respect for yourself. Okay? Self-respect, dignity about you. And why I'm referring to that is I think because of the standards are in the tank, and people are so antsy to get something that is even just mildly okay. Well, you have people, unfortunately, and I've seen this, Spider-Man, I think, was a big thing about this. And some people are actually coming along, actually finding that there were a lot of problems with that movie that they maybe didn't see because the honeymoon stage is over with, right? But Spider-Man No Way Home was a big example of this, because what happens is if you don't respect yourself, you end up giving companies that don't deserve it the benefit of the doubt in the event that they do something slightly different. Okay? While I can totally understand where people want something different from what they have recently got, what you can't do, well, you can, but it doesn't make a lot of sense, is act as if still these companies owe you money. I've had people say, for example, with Spider-Man, No Way Home, I think it was. That's the one. And other various, like, hey, You should give this a shot. It's not like the other movies or the other stuff that you would talk about before. It's not like that. You should at least give it a shot. I'm like, dog, I don't owe this company money. I don't owe this company my time. I don't owe this company anything. I'm a customer, okay? It is on you to convince me to pay for your product, much like it is with any business. Same thing can be said for me when my comic company comes out. I have to be able to convince you to be enthusiastic about it, and we've done a great job of that. But especially when you see the art, especially when you get the book, and then we talk about other books coming in the future. It's on me as the business owner to convince you that your dollar is worth giving me. I'm not owed your money. Okay? I'm not owed your money. I don't owe you. Oh, let me say this. You don't owe me. Much like I don't owe these other companies and various things. So have some self-respect is all I'm saying. Have some self-respect. Have some dignity. Maybe there are people out there like me, and I put this into perspective because a lot of folks are just normies, meaning that, they're tourists. They may watch a movie or two, but I need people to understand with Marvel and DC that, again, maybe don't watch my material. I know I spent more on this company than a lot of y'all and a handful of y'all combined, especially when I was at my apex of, when I got money, right? And I had money to spend on more disposable income, and I was able to spend money on comic books and stuff. And those of you know that. Definitely when I became more of a reviewer publicly, hundreds of dollars was being spent in some way, shape, or form. Some of those back issues, a lot of those back issues, to be fair. But the amount of money that I spent, even in the recent sense, lining the pockets up of this company and my local comic book shop, it's a lot. It was a lot of money, but the amount of money in itself shows, and I got to the point to where I cut it off. I said, look, I'm not giving this company any more money. They don't deserve it. I'm done. Cutting it off cold turkey. Bam. I'm all right. It was weird a little bit initially, but I got over that phase and everything's fine now. I'm not spending a dime on Marvel and DC products. But it's because I had to have some self-respect about me. Like, okay, I'm paying for literal garbage for the sake of paying for literal garbage, because maybe subconsciously, I don't know, I'm thinking that this company is going to be salvaged, but it's not. And yeah, that's a hard thing to come to terms with. But this company is going, when you consider who controls it, ideological enemies, people that consider me their enemy, they are the ones that control these various companies. So when those people who know that I'm not watching anything anymore, okay, it's those that still think that, well, I still should give this company the benefit of the doubt. Like, I'll see some goofy trailer and I'm like, yeah, that's dead on arrival. Why? You haven't seen the movie. Why don't you give it a chance? And I'm like, wait a minute. Do you not understand how this works? The default, this is, I guess, the way to word it. The default is not me giving company money. That's not the default. That's not how this works. It's on you to convince me to give you my dollar. And I'm certainly not convinced, it won't be convinced until, well, assets maybe of Marvel get sold off to someone that cares, and the same thing can be said to DC, instead of them being tied to mega corporations like Discovery and Disney. And that's not going to happen more than likely. So, okay, I just won't give the company money. There's nothing that they did that do that interests me. I'm not reading garbage for the sake of reading garbage, just for the sake of participating in the conversation. I'm not watching a movie for the sake of being part of the conversation. I don't feel like I have to do that. But most importantly, I got some bit of self-respect. And you should have that about you too. When you know that something is garbage, when you even get, because you got to understand, man, these are companies that have a track record, man. They got a track record. You look at the last few years, 4, 5, 6 years, it's a track record, right? They have a track record of being dog crap. So why on earth would you give them the benefit of the doubt? They're not owed that. Even when it's like, well, here's just one thing that might be okay relative to 100 other variations of dog crap. Still, why would I give that company money? That's not how it works. So there's that. Have some self-respect is what I say. And be great. But don't feel like you owe these mega corporations any money. You don't. Have some self-respect, some dignity. You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Cannon's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on YouTube.com/YoungRipper59 and Odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. Be sure to check out my website, EricDJuly.com, so you can stay up to date with everything it is that I'm doing. You can also become a member and get access to a bunch of cool perks and exclusive content, which includes a social media hub where you can interact with myself and other members. It even has an app that you can get, which is now live in the Google and Apple stores.